Question 1. Which principle of insurance mandates that both parties in an insurance contract must disclose all material information and act honestly towards each other? A. Principle of subrogation. B. Principle of indemnity. C. Principle of utmost good faith. D. Principle of insurable interest. Correct answer. C. Principle of utmost good faith. Explanation. The principle of utmost good faith, uberimi fide, is foundational in insurance contracts, requiring both the insurer and the insured to disclose all relevant information truthfully. This principle is crucial because it ensures that the insurer can accurately assess risk and price the policy accordingly. In Kansas, as in other states, failure to adhere to this principle can lead to denial of claims or policy cancellation. For example, if an insured omits information about a pre-existing condition that affects the risk, it can result in the insurer denying a claim based on non-disclosure. The principle of subrogation relates to the insurer's right to pursue a third party that caused a loss after paying the claim. The principle of indemnity ensures that the insured is compensated for the loss but does not gain financially from it. The principle of insurable interest requires that the insured has a financial stake in the insured property or person to prevent gambling, a moral hazard. Question 2. In a personal auto policy (PAP) in Kansas, which coverage part provides protection for medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers, regardless of fault in an accident? A. Liability coverage. B. Medical payments coverage. C. Uninsured underinsured motorist coverage. D. Coverage for damage to your auto. Correct answer. B. Medical payments coverage. Explanation. Medical payments coverage, Part B of a PAP, is designed to cover medical expenses for the insured, their family members, and passengers in the insured vehicle regardless of fault in an accident. This coverage is essential in Kansas to ensure that immediate medical expenses are covered without the need to establish fault. Liability coverage addresses damages and injuries the insured is legally responsible for causing to others. Uninsured underinsured motorist coverage protects against damages caused by drivers who have insufficient or no insurance. Coverage for damage to your auto provides protection against physical damage to the insured vehicle, not medical expenses. Question 3. Emily is a homeowner in Kansas who recently purchased a new luxury kitchen appliance. She wants to ensure this high-value item is covered under her homeowner's insurance policy. What should Emily do to make sure her new appliance is adequately covered? A. File a claim with her insurer to add the appliance to her existing policy. B. Review her homeowner's insurance policy's personal property limits and endorsements to determine if additional coverage is needed. C. Purchase a separate inland marine insurance policy for the appliance. D. Rely on her homeowner's insurance policy's standard coverage for personal property, as it automatically covers all high-value items. Correct answer. B. Review her homeowner's insurance policy's personal property limits and endorsements to determine if additional coverage is needed. Explanation. In Kansas, as with other states, homeowners' insurance policies have limits on coverage for personal property, and high-value items may not be fully covered under standard limits. Reviewing the policy's personal property limits and any relevant endorsements is crucial. Emily may need to add an endorsement or rider, such as a scheduled personal property endorsement, to ensure her luxury appliance is adequately covered. Filing a claim would be premature without confirming coverage specifics. Purchasing a separate inland marine insurance policy is not typically necessary unless the item is very valuable and not covered adequately under the standard homeowner's insurance. Relying on the standard coverage can result in inadequate protection, especially for high-value items that exceed standard limits. Question 4. Which of the following is true about the loss of use coverage in a homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas? A. It covers medical expenses incurred due to loss of use of the home. B. It compensates the insured for lost rental income if the home is rented out and becomes uninhabitable. C. It provides payment for additional living expenses incurred while the home is being repaired after a covered loss. D. It reimburses the insured for the cost of temporary repairs made to prevent further damage to the home. Correct answer. C. It provides payment for additional living expenses incurred while the home is being repaired after a covered loss. Explanation. Loss of use coverage in a homeowner's insurance policy compensates the insured for additional living expenses when their home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered loss. Its coverage includes costs for temporary housing, meals, and other necessary expenses incurred while the home is being repaired. Option A is incorrect because medical expenses are covered under medical payments coverage for Part B. Option B refers to lost rental income, which is covered under fair rental value coverage D in a dwelling policy, not homeowners insurance. Option D pertains to the cost of temporary repairs, which is usually covered under the policy's property damage coverage, but not specifically under loss of use. Question 5. Which type of personal umbrella policy coverage typically extends beyond the limits of underlying policies and provides additional liability protection? A. General liability coverage. B. Personal liability coverage. C. Excess liability coverage. D. Primary liability coverage. Correct answer: C. Excess liability coverage. Explanation: a personal umbrella policy provides excess liability coverage which extends the limits of liability coverage beyond what is offered by underlying policies such as auto or homeowners insurance. This type of coverage offers additional protection for large claims or lawsuits that exceed the limits of primary insurance policies. Option A is a broad term not specific to umbrella policies. Option B refers to personal liability coverage within a homeowners or auto policy but does not provide additional limits beyond those policies. Option D is not a standard term used to describe umbrella policy coverage. Question 6. John, a Kansas resident, has recently purchased an expensive piece of artwork. He currently holds a standard homeowners insurance policy. After reading his policy, he is concerned that his new artwork might not be fully covered. What action should John take to ensure his artwork is adequately protected? A. Increase the coverage limit on his homeowner's insurance policy for personal property. B. Purchase a personal articles floater to specifically cover the artwork. C. Rely on the homeowner's insurance policy's automatic coverage for valuable items. D. Add an additional rider for personal liability to cover any potential damage to the artwork. Correct answer: B. Purchase a personal articles floater to specifically cover the artwork. Explanation: to ensure high-value items like artwork are fully covered, John should purchase a personal articles floater. This type of policy provides specific coverage for valuable items and typically covers risks that are not included in standard homeowners insurance policies such as accidental loss, theft, or damage. Increasing the coverage limit on the homeowner's policy might not be sufficient if the item's value exceeds standard limits. Relying on automatic coverage C could result in insufficient protection, as standard policies often have limitations on coverage for high-value items. Adding a rider for personal liability D does not address the issue of coverage for the artwork itself. Question 7. In a dwelling policy DP in Kansas, which of the following types of coverage is typically excluded under YUN basic form policy? A. Fire damage. B. Lightning damage. C. Windstorm damage. D. Vandalism and malicious mischief. Correct answer: D. Vandalism and malicious mischief. Explanation: YUN basic form dwelling policy provides coverage on a named perils basis including fire, lightning, and certain other perils. However, it typically excludes vandalism and malicious mischief unless specifically added by endorsement. Option A and B are covered under the Deeper One policy as they are basic perils. Option C is not covered under the Deeper One policy but is included in Deeper 2, Broad Form, and Deeper 3, Special Form policies. For coverage of vandalism, an endorsement must be added to the Deeper One policy, making it an optional coverage rather than a standard inclusion. Question 8. Which of the following is a key difference between the HO3 Special Form and HO5 Comprehensive Form homeowners policies in Kansas? A. HO3 provides open perils coverage for personal property, while HO5 provides named perils coverage. B. HO5 offers broader coverage for personal property compared to HO3. C. HO3 includes coverage for personal property on a named perils basis, whereas HO5 covers personal property on an open perils basis. D. HO5 excludes personal liability coverage, whereas HO3 includes. Correct answer: B. HO5 offers broader coverage for personal property compared to HO3. Explanation: the HO3 special form homeowners policy provides open perils coverage for the dwelling but named perils coverage for personal property. In contrast, the HO5 comprehensive form offers both open perils coverage for the dwelling and personal property, which provides broader protection compared to the HO3. Option A is incorrect because the HO3 provides open perils coverage for the dwelling and named perils for personal property. Option C is incorrect as it reverses the coverage types. Option D is incorrect because both HO3 and HO5 policies include personal liability coverage. The difference lies in the extent of coverage for personal property. Question 9. Sarah, a homeowner in Kansas, experiences a significant water loss due to a burst pipe in her home. She discovers that her homeowner's insurance policy includes a standard water damage exclusion. To address this issue, what should Sarah consider to ensure future water damage claims are covered? A. Add a separate water damage endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. B. Purchase a separate flood insurance policy to cover water damage. C. Rely on the homeowner's insurance policy's automatic coverage for water damage as it is standard practice. D. Switch to a dwelling policy with broader coverage for water-related incidents. Correct answer A. Add a separate water damage endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation: standard homeowners insurance policies typically exclude certain types of water damage, such as that from a burst pipe. To cover such losses, Sarah should consider adding a specific water damage endorsement to her policy, which can provide the necessary coverage for sudden and accidental water damage. Option B is not applicable as flood insurance covers flood-related water damage, not water from internal sources like a burst pipe relying on automatic coverage. C is incorrect because standard policies often exclude such coverage. Switching to a dwelling policy D might not be necessary if an endorsement can address the coverage gap effectively. Question 10. Which of the following is NOT typically covered under a standard personal auto policy PAP in Kansas? A. Damage to the insured's vehicle caused by hitting a deer. B. Theft of the insured's vehicle. C. Liability for damage caused by the insured while driving a non-owned vehicle. D. Damage to the insured's vehicle caused by wear and tear. Correct answer D. Damage to the insured's vehicle caused by wear and tear. Explanation: a standard personal auto policy PAP in Kansas provides coverage for a variety of perils, including collision, comprehensive coverage such as damage from hitting a deer, and liability for damage caused by driving a non-owned vehicle. However, it does not cover damage resulting from wear and tear, mechanical failure, or deterioration, as these are considered maintenance issues rather than accidental losses. Option A and B are covered under comprehensive coverage, which protects against non-collision related damages and theft. Option C is included under the policy's coverage for non-owned vehicles, ensuring liability protection when driving cars not owned by the insured. Question 11. Under Kansas law, which of the following is TIUE about the minimum liability coverage required for personal auto policies? A. Kansas requires a minimum of $25,000 per person and $50,000 per accident and bodily injury liability coverage. B. Kansas requires a minimum of $50,000 per person and $100,000 per accident in bodily injury liability coverage. C. Kansas requires liability coverage limits to be at least $10,000 per person and $20,000 per accident for property damage. D. Kansas does not mandate any minimum liability coverage for personal vehicles. Correct answer A. Kansas requires a minimum of $25,000 per person and $50,000 per accident in bodily injury liability coverage. Explanation: Kansas law mandates that personal auto policies include a minimum of $25,000 per person and $50,000 per accident for bodily injury liability coverage. This ensures that drivers are financially protected against claims for injuries they cause to others in an accident. Option B reflects higher coverage limits than required by Kansas law. Option C provides incorrect figures for property damage liability. Option D is incorrect because Kansas does have minimum liability coverage requirements. Question 12. Mark, a Kansas resident, is involved in a car accident where he is at fault. His personal auto policy includes a $500 deductible for collision coverage and $1,000 for comprehensive coverage. The damages to his car amount to $2,500. How much will Mark need to pay out of pocket for the repairs if he uses his collision coverage? A. $500. B. $1,000. C. $1,500. D. $2,500. Correct answer. C. $1,500. Explanation. When Mark uses his collision coverage to repair the $2,500 in damages, he will have to pay his $500 deductible. The insurance will cover the remaining $2,000 of the repair costs. Therefore, Mark's total out-of-pocket expense is $500 deductible plus $1,000, the difference between the total damages and what the insurance covers, as he will pay the deductible twice if he were to use both collision and comprehensive coverage. Option A represents just the deductible, not the total cost. Option B is incorrect as it reflects the deductible for comprehensive coverage, not collision. Option D is incorrect because the insurance will cover part of the costs after the deductible. Question 13. Which of the following is a primary function of the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, in Kansas? A. Providing coverage for damage caused by earthquakes. B. Offering insurance for property damage caused by floods. C. Covering damage from landslides and mudslides. D. Insuring against damage from hurricanes. Correct answer. B. Offering insurance for property damage caused by floods. Explanation. The National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, is specifically designed to provide insurance coverage for property damage caused by flooding. It helps property owners in flood-prone areas to mitigate the financial impact of flood damage. The NFIP is administered by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and provides flood insurance coverage for both buildings and personal property. Option A is incorrect as earthquake coverage is typically provided through separate policies or endorsements, not NFIP. Option C is incorrect because landslides and mudslides are not covered by NFIP. Option D is also incorrect. While hurricanes can cause flooding, NFIP coverage specifically addresses flood-related damage. Question 14. In a personal umbrella policy, which of the following typically represents a condition that may limit or exclude coverage? A. The policyholder has multiple underlying policies with limits above the umbrella's retention amount. B. The policyholder has an open claim under one of the underlying policies. C. The policyholder engages in activities that are considered high risk and not disclosed to the insurer. D. The policyholder lives in an area prone to natural disasters. Correct answer. C. The policyholder engages in activities that are considered high risk and not disclosed to the insurer. Explanation. Personal umbrella policies often have conditions that limit or exclude coverage if the policyholder engages in high-risk activities that were not disclosed to the insurer. This non-disclosure can lead to gaps in coverage or denial of claims. High-risk activities may include certain types of recreational activities, owning a swimming pool, or operating certain types of vehicles. Option A is incorrect because having multiple underlying policies with limits above the umbrella's retention amount generally enhances coverage rather than limiting it. Option B is incorrect. While an open claim might impact the policy, it does not inherently limit or exclude coverage. Option D is not a condition that typically excludes coverage, although it may affect underwriting considerations. Question 15. Linda, a homeowner in Kansas, is reviewing her homeowner's insurance policy and realizes that her policy excludes coverage for damage caused by sewer backup. After discussing this with her agent, she decides to take action. What should Linda do to ensure coverage for sewer backup? A. Purchase a separate flood insurance policy to cover the sewer backup risk. B. Add a sewer backup endorsement to her existing homeowner's insurance policy. C. Increase her homeowner's insurance policy's overall coverage limit to include sewer backup. D. Switch to a dwelling policy which includes sewer backup coverage. Correct answer. B. Add a sewer backup endorsement to her existing homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation. To ensure coverage for sewer backup, Linda should add a sewer backup endorsement to her existing homeowner's insurance policy. Standard homeowners policies typically exclude sewer backup, but this endorsement can provide specific coverage for such incidents. Option A is incorrect because flood insurance covers flood-related damage, not sewer backups. Option C is not a valid approach since increasing the policy limit does not automatically include coverage for sewer backups. Option D is incorrect because dwelling policies do not inherently cover sewer backups. Either specific endorsements or separate policies are required. Question 16. In a standard homeowner's insurance policy, which of the following is typically NOT covered under the personal property section? A. Jewelry with a value of $10,000. B. A laptop stolen from a car. C. Cash stolen from a safe within the home. D. Artwork valued at $15,000. Correct answer. C. Cash stolen from a safe within the home. Explanation. Under standard homeowners insurance policy, certain types of personal property are subject to specific coverage limits and exclusions. Cash is often excluded from coverage under the personal property section, regardless of whether it is stolen from a safe or otherwise. Option A is typically covered, but high-value items like jewelry may have limits unless additional coverage, e.g., a rider, is purchased. Option B is covered under personal property protection, although there may be sublimits for property stolen from a vehicle. Option D is also generally covered under the policy but might require additional coverage for high-value items like artwork to ensure full protection. Question 17. Which of the following statements about the personal auto policies PAP, uninsured and insured motorist coverage is correct in Kansas? A. It covers damages for injuries sustained by the insured due to an accident with an uninsured driver but does not cover property damage. B. It provides coverage for both property damage and bodily injury if the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance. C. It covers damages for injuries sustained by passengers in the insured's vehicle if the driver of the vehicle is uninsured. D. It only covers damages for bodily injury and not for property damage, regardless of the at-fault driver's insurance status. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for both property damage and bodily injury if the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance. Explanation. In Kansas, uninsured and insured motorist coverage under personal auto policy PAP provides protection for both bodily injury and property damage when the at-fault driver either has no insurance or insufficient insurance to cover the damages. This coverage helps ensure that insured individuals are protected against financial losses resulting from accidents with inadequately insured drivers. Option A is incorrect as the coverage applies to both bodily injury and property damage. Option C is incorrect because uninsured and insured motorist coverage does not extend to the driver's own uninsured vehicle, but it does cover passengers. Option D is incorrect as it fails to recognize that coverage is available for both bodily injury and property damage. Question 18. Tom recently purchased a new home in Kansas and wants to ensure that his policy covers damage from all possible risks, including those not typically covered by a standard homeowner's insurance policy. What should Tom consider to ensure comprehensive coverage? A. Purchase a homeowner's insurance policy with a higher coverage limit to automatically include all risks. B. Add an endorsement for specific perils such as earthquake, flood, or sewer backup, depending on his needs. C. Switch to a dwelling policy as it provides broader coverage than a homeowner's insurance policy. D. Rely on the homeowner's insurance policy's standard coverage as it is sufficient for all potential risks. Correct answer. B. Add an endorsement for specific perils such as earthquake, flood, or sewer backup, depending on his needs. Explanation. To ensure comprehensive coverage for specific risks not covered by a standard homeowner's insurance policy, Tom should consider adding endorsements or riders for perils such as earthquake, flood, or sewer backup. Standard policies often have exclusions for these risks, so endorsements provide additional protection tailored to his specific needs. Option A is incorrect because increasing the policy limit alone does not extend coverage to excluded perils. Option C is not accurate because dwelling policies typically offer less comprehensive coverage for personal property and liability compared to homeowners' insurance policies. Option D is incorrect because standard policies may not cover all potential risks, necessitating additional endorsements. Question 19. Which of the following statements accurately reflects the typical exclusions in a standard earthquake insurance policy in Kansas? A. Earthquake insurance typically excludes damage to foundations, driveways, and swimming pools. B. Earthquake insurance provides coverage for all types of damages caused by seismic activity, including landslides and flooding. C. Earthquake insurance usually excludes damage caused by aftershocks unless explicitly included. D. Earthquake insurance generally covers damages resulting from volcanic eruptions and landslides. Correct answer. A. Earthquake insurance typically excludes damage to foundations, driveways, and swimming pools. Explanation. Standard earthquake insurance policies often exclude coverage for certain types of property damage, including damage to foundations, driveways, and swimming pools. These exclusions are due to the high cost of repairing such structures, and these exclusions help keep premiums manageable. Option B is incorrect because earthquake insurance does not cover flooding or landslides. These are typically covered under separate policies. Option C is partially correct but misleading. While aftershocks may not be explicitly excluded, coverage can vary based on the policy specifics. Option D is incorrect, as volcanic eruptions and landslides are generally not covered by earthquake insurance. Question 20. Which of the following is true regarding the extended replacement cost feature in homeowners insurance policies in Kansas? A. It provides coverage for rebuilding costs that exceed the policy limit by a specified percentage. B. It guarantees full replacement of the home regardless of the policy limits. C. It only applies to damages covered by the policy but does not cover the cost of upgrades or improvements. D. It is automatically included in all homeowners insurance policies without any additional cost. Correct answer A. Provides coverage for rebuilding costs that exceed the policy limit by a specified percentage. Explanation: the extended replacement cost feature in homeowners insurance policies provides additional coverage beyond the policy limit for rebuilding costs. This feature typically allows for a specified percentage above the coverage limit to account for increases in construction costs, ensuring that the policyholder can rebuild their home even if costs exceed the original policy limit. Option B is incorrect because extended replacement cost does not guarantee full replacement regardless of the policy limits, but offers a set percentage above the limits. Option C is incorrect, as extended replacement cost coverage does not cover upgrades or improvements unless specifically included. Option D is incorrect because this feature usually requires an additional premium. Question 21. Jennifer has recently upgraded her personal property significantly and is concerned that her standard homeowners insurance policy may not cover the full value of her new items. What should Jennifer do to ensure adequate coverage for her high-value personal property? A. Rely on the homeowners insurance policy's standard coverage limits for personal property. B. Increase the dwelling coverage limit to reflect the value of the new items. C. Add a personal property floater or scheduled property endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. D. Switch to a personal umbrella policy to cover the additional value of the personal property. Correct answer: C. Add a personal property floater or scheduled property endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation: to ensure adequate coverage for high-value personal property, Jennifer should add a personal property floater or scheduled property endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. These endorsements provide additional coverage specifically for valuable items, offering protection against risks not covered under the standard policy limits. Option A is incorrect because standard coverage limits might not be sufficient for high-value items. Option B is not suitable because increasing the dwelling coverage limit does not affect personal property coverage. Option D is incorrect. While a personal umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage, it does not cover personal property value directly. Question 22. In a standard personal auto policy PAP, which of the following best describes the coverage provided by comprehensive coverage? A. Coverage for damage to the insured's vehicle caused by a collision with another vehicle. B. Coverage for damage to the insured's vehicle caused by events other than collisions, such as theft or vandalism. C. Coverage for bodily injury and property damage the insured is legally responsible for in an accident. D. Coverage for medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers in the insured vehicle after an accident. Correct answer: B. Coverage for damage to the insured's vehicle caused by events other than collisions, such as theft or vandalism. Explanation: comprehensive coverage under personal auto policy PAP provides protection for damage to the insured's vehicle caused by events other than collisions. This includes risks such as theft, vandalism, fire, and natural disasters. It covers damages to the vehicle that are not related to a collision with another vehicle or object. Option A describes collision coverage, not comprehensive coverage. Option C refers to liability coverage, which addresses the insured's legal responsibility for damages to others. Option D describes medical payments coverage, which covers medical expenses for injuries sustained by the insured and passengers. Question 23. Which of the following typically represents a condition or limitation of personal liability coverage in a homeowner's insurance policy? A. Personal liability coverage does not cover damages resulting from intentional acts by the insured. B. Personal liability coverage includes coverage for all types of bodily injury regardless of the location of the incident. C. Personal liability coverage automatically covers business-related liabilities if the insured operates a business from home. D. Personal liability coverage is provided up to the actual cash value of the damages, not replacement cost. Correct answer A. Personal liability coverage does not cover damages resulting from intentional acts by the insured. Explanation: personal liability coverage in a homeowner's insurance policy generally excludes coverage for damages resulting from intentional acts by the insured. This type of coverage is designed to protect against accidents and negligence but does not cover harm caused deliberately. Option B is incorrect because personal liability coverage does not extend to all types of bodily injury, especially those occurring outside of covered premises or from specific exclusions. Option C is incorrect as operating a business from home can void coverage or require a separate endorsement. Option D is incorrect. Personal liability coverage does not deal with actual cash value versus replacement cost issues as it provides coverage up to the policy limit. Question 24. Alex has recently renovated his home and increased its market value significantly. He is concerned that his existing dwelling policy might not cover the full replacement cost of his home in case of a total loss. What action should Alex take to ensure adequate coverage? A. Purchase a separate flood insurance policy to cover the renovation improvements. B. Increase the coverage limit on his existing dwelling policy to match the new market value of the home. C. Add a homeowner's insurance policy with a higher deductible to cover renovation costs. D. Rely on the dwelling policy's existing coverage as it automatically adjusts to account for renovations. Correct answer B. Increase the coverage limit on his existing dwelling policy to match the new market value of the home. Explanation: to ensure that his dwelling policy covers the full replacement cost of his home after renovations, Alex should increase the coverage limit on his policy. Coverage pertains to the dwelling itself, and adjusting this limit ensures that the policy can adequately cover the cost of rebuilding the home to its new market value. Option A is incorrect because flood insurance covers only flood-related damage and does not address the issue of home value. Option C is not suitable as increasing the deductible does not affect coverage limits. Option D is incorrect because dwelling policies do not automatically adjust coverage limits to reflect renovations. Policy limits must be manually updated. Question 25. Under a standard homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas, which of the following perils is typically covered by the policy's other structures coverage? A. Damage to the insured's personal property stored in an outbuilding. B. Loss of use of the property due to a covered peril affecting the primary dwelling. C. Damage to a detached garage used for commercial purposes. D. Damage to a detached shed used solely for storing garden tools. Correct answer: D. Damage to a detached shed used solely for storing garden tools. Explanation: other structures coverage under a standard homeowner's insurance policy generally includes protection for structures on the property that are not attached to the primary dwelling, such as detached garages, sheds, and fences. The coverage typically extends to structures used for personal purposes and not for commercial use. Option A is incorrect because personal property stored in an outbuilding is usually covered under the personal property section, not other structures. Option B refers to loss of use coverage, which compensates for living expenses if the home becomes uninhabitable. Option C is incorrect because commercial use of a structure usually voids coverage or requires additional insurance. Question 26. Which of the following best describes the purpose of a personal articles floater in personal lines insurance? A. It provides extended liability coverage for high-value items, such as jewelry, beyond the limits of a standard homeowner's policy. B. It offers coverage for personal property away from the home, including travel-related losses. C. It covers personal property within the home for damages caused by specific perils listed in the policy. D. It ensures coverage for personal property in a rental or temporary residence during extended travel. Correct answer A. It provides extended liability coverage for high-value items, such as jewelry, beyond the limits of a standard homeowner's policy. Explanation: a personal articles floater is designed to provide additional coverage for high-value items like jewelry, art, and collectibles. This coverage extends beyond the limits of a standard homeowner's insurance policy and offers protection against perils that may not be covered by the base policy, such as accidental loss or damage. Option B is incorrect because personal articles floaters primarily cover high-value items, rather than travel-related losses. Option C describes general personal property coverage, which may not be sufficient for high-value items. Option D describes coverage for property in A temporary residence which is typically covered under a different policy or endorsement. Question 27. Sarah, a Kansas homeowner, has recently installed a new in-ground pool and wants to ensure that her homeowner's insurance policy covers potential liabilities related to the pool. What should Sarah do to ensure adequate coverage? A. Purchase a separate pool insurance policy to cover all potential liabilities associated with the pool. B. Increase her homeowner's insurance policy's coverage a limit to include the pool. C. Add a pool liability endorsement to her existing homeowner's insurance policy. D. Rely on the standard homeowner's insurance policy as it automatically includes coverage for swimming pools. Correct answer. C. Add a pool liability endorsement to her existing homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation. To ensure adequate coverage for liabilities related to the newly installed in-ground pool, Sarah should add a pool liability endorsement to her existing homeowner's insurance policy. This endorsement provides specific coverage for liability risks associated with owning and maintaining a swimming pool, such as injuries that occur in or around the pool area. Option A is incorrect because a separate pool insurance policy is usually not necessary if appropriate endorsements are available. Option B is not suitable as increasing coverage relates to dwelling coverage, not liability. Option D is incorrect because standard homeowners insurance policies often exclude or limit coverage for pools, necessitating an endorsement for comprehensive protection. Question 20. Which of the following best describes the impact of the self-insured retention of our personal umbrella policy? A. It reduces the premium for the umbrella policy by lowering the coverage limits provided. B. It represents the amount the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy provides coverage. C. It covers the insured's deductible amounts on all underlying policies. D. It increases the coverage limits for underlying policies by adding additional funds to the policy's limits. Correct answer. B. It represents the amount the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy provides coverage. Explanation. The self-insured retention in a personal umbrella policy is the amount that the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy begins to provide coverage. This retention is essentially a deductible amount, meaning the insured must cover these costs before the umbrella policy kicks in to cover additional losses beyond the limits of underlying policies. Option A is incorrect because the SIR does not affect the premium directly. It is a form of deductible that must be met before the policy pays out. Option C is incorrect as SIR does not cover deductibles on underlying policies. It is an amount that must be met before the umbrella coverage applies. Option D is incorrect because SIR does not increase limits but represents an out-of-pocket cost that must be paid before coverage applies. Question 29. Which of the following is typically excluded from coverage under a standard inland marine insurance policy for personal property? A. Personal property used for business purposes. B. Valuable items like artwork and antiques. C. Personal property while being transported over land. D. Items specifically scheduled on the policy. Correct answer. A. Personal property used for business purposes. Explanation. Inland marine insurance policies generally exclude coverage for personal property used for business purposes. These policies are designed to cover personal property while it is in transit or temporarily stored away from the home but do not typically extend to items used in a business setting. Option B is incorrect because valuable items like artwork and antiques can be covered under inland marine insurance, often with special provisions. Option C is incorrect because inland marine insurance specifically covers personal property while being transported over land. Option D is incorrect as items scheduled on the policy are typically covered, often with extended limits and broader coverage. Question 30. Tom has recently purchased a high-value collectible car and wants to ensure that it is adequately covered under his insurance policy. He currently has a standard personal auto policy. What should Tom do to ensure comprehensive coverage for his collectible car? A. Increase the liability limits on his personal auto policy to cover the car's value. B. Add a high-value auto endorsement to his personal auto policy for coverage of the collectible car. C. Purchase a separate collectible auto insurance policy specifically designed for high-value vehicles. D. Rely on the standard coverage provided under his personal auto policy as it automatically includes high-value vehicles. Correct answer. C. Purchase a separate collectible auto insurance policy specifically designed for high-value vehicles. Explanation. For high-value collectible cars, it is often best to purchase a separate collectible auto insurance policy. These policies are specifically designed to cover the unique needs of collectible and classic cars, providing specialized coverage that goes beyond the standard personal auto policy, including agreed value coverage and protection for the car's full value. Option A is incorrect because increasing liability limits does not address the specific needs of a collectible car. Option B may not be sufficient if the personal auto policy does not offer appropriate coverage for collectible vehicles. Option D is incorrect because standard personal auto policies typically do not provide comprehensive coverage for high-value or collectible vehicles without specific endorsements. Question 31. Which of the following scenarios would most likely require personal articles floated to ensure adequate coverage under a standard homeowner's insurance policy? A new set of kitchen appliances valued at $5,000. B. A collection of baseball cards valued at $20,000. C. Furniture in a recently renovated living room. D. A new flat screen television purchased for $1,200. Correct answer. B. A collection of baseball cards valued at $20,000. Explanation. A personal articles floater is used to provide additional coverage for high-value personal items that may exceed the limits of a standard homeowner's insurance policy. Items like a collection of baseball cards valued at $20,000 would benefit from a personal articles floater to ensure comprehensive protection against risks like loss, theft, or damage that are often excluded or limited under a standard policy. Option A is incorrect because standard homeowners insurance generally provides sufficient coverage for household appliances. Option C is incorrect because furniture is covered under the personal property section of the homeowner's insurance policy, though high-value furniture might benefit from additional coverage. Option D is incorrect as a flat-screen television, while valuable, is likely covered under the standard personal property limits of a homeowner's insurance policy unless additional coverage is needed for very high-value items. Question 32. In Kansas, which of the following statements accurately describes the coverage provided by the medical payments to others section of a homeowner's insurance policy? A. It covers medical expenses for injuries sustained by the insured or their family members. B. It provides coverage for medical expenses incurred by guests or visitors who are injured on the insured's property, regardless of fault. C. It reimburses the insured for medical expenses related to injuries they caused to others away from the insured property. D. It covers legal costs associated with medical lawsuits resulting from injuries on the insured's property. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for medical expenses incurred by guests or visitors who are injured on the insured's property, regardless of fault. Explanation. The medical payments to others section of a homeowner's insurance policy covers medical expenses for guests or visitors who are injured on the insured's property, regardless of who is at fault for the injury. This coverage is designed to address minor injuries and prevent disputes from escalating into lawsuits. Option A is incorrect because the coverage does not extend to the insured or their family members. It is specifically for non-resident guests. Option C is incorrect as it does not cover injuries occurring away from the insured property. Option D is incorrect because legal costs are not covered under medical payments to others but might be addressed under personal liability coverage. Question 33. Emily has recently started a small home-based business selling handmade jewelry. She is concerned that her existing homeowner's insurance policy may not cover any business-related risks. What should Emily do to ensure she has adequate coverage for her home-based business? A. Increase her homeowner's insurance policy's coverage to include the business inventory and equipment. B. Purchase a business owner's policy, BOP, or add a home-based business endorsement to her homeowner's insurance policy. C. Rely on her homeowner's insurance policy's standard coverage as it automatically includes home-based business activities. D. Purchase a commercial auto policy to cover business-related risks associated with her home-based business. Correct answer. B. Purchase a business owner's policy, BOP, or add a home-based business endorsement to a homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation. For home-based businesses, a standard homeowner's insurance policy often does not provide sufficient coverage for business-related risks, such as inventory and equipment. Emily should consider purchasing a business owner's policy, BOP, or adding a home-based business endorsement to her existing policy to ensure comprehensive coverage for her business operations and associated risks. Option A is incorrect as increasing coverage A, which covers the dwelling, does not address business-related risks. Option C is incorrect because standard homeowners insurance typically does not cover business activities without additional endorsements. Option D is incorrect because a commercial auto policy addresses risks related to business vehicles, not home-based business operations. Question 34. Which of the following best describes the difference between replacement cost and an actual cash value each dwelling policy? A replacement cost covers the full cost of replacing damaged property with new property, while actual cash value deducts depreciation from the replacement cost. B. Replacement cost includes depreciation of the property, while actual cash value does not. C. Replacement cost is only available for newly purchased property, while actual cash value applies to all types of property. D. Replacement cost is a form of liability coverage, while actual cash value is for property damage coverage. Correct answer: A replacement cost covers the full cost of replacing damaged property with new property, while actual cash value deducts depreciation from the replacement cost. Explanation: replacement cost coverage reimburses the insured for the cost of replacing damaged property with new items of similar kind and quality without accounting for depreciation. In contrast, actual cash value SEV coverage includes depreciation, meaning the payout is based on the replacement cost minus depreciation. Option B is incorrect because replacement cost does not include depreciation, whereas actual cash value does. Option C is incorrect as replacement cost and actual cash value are not limited to newly purchased property. They apply based on the coverage chosen for the policy. Option D is incorrect because both replacement cost and actual cash value pertain to property damage coverage, not liability coverage. Question 35. Which of the following is typically excluded under standard personal auto policy PAP in Kansas? A. Damage to the insured's vehicle caused by an uninsured motorist. B. Theft of personal items from inside the insured's vehicle. C. Injuries sustained by the insured while driving under the influence of alcohol. D. Damage to the insured's vehicle caused by a collision with a stationary object. Correct answer: C. Injuries sustained by the insured while driving under the influence of alcohol. Explanation: a standard personal auto policy PAP typically excludes coverage for injuries sustained by the insured if they are driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. This exclusion is in place due to the increased risk and liability associated with impaired driving. Option A is incorrect because damage caused by an uninsured motorist is generally covered under uninsured motorist coverage, if applicable. Option B is incorrect because theft of personal items from inside the vehicle may be covered under the personal property section or a specific endorsement. Option D is incorrect as collision coverage would generally cover damage to the vehicle caused by a collision with a stationary object. Question 36. John, a Kansas resident, has just bought a new home and is considering different types of homeowners insurance policies. He wants a policy that offers broad coverage for his home and personal property, including protection against a wide range of perils. Which of the following types of homeowners insurance policies should John choose? A. HO1 Basic Form Policy. B. HO2 Broad Form Policy. C. HO3 Special Form Policy. D. HO8 Modified Coverage Form Policy. Correct answer: C. HO3 Special Form Policy. Explanation: the HO3 Special Form Policy is the most comprehensive standard homeowners insurance policy, offering broad coverage for both the dwelling and personal property. It typically provides protection against a wide range of perils, covering the dwelling on an open peril basis, covering all risks except those specifically excluded, and personal property on a named peril basis, covering only risks specifically listed in the policy. Option A is incorrect because the HO1 Basic Form Policy provides very limited coverage and is generally considered outdated. Option B is incorrect as the HO2 Broad Form Policy offers more coverage than HO1 but is less comprehensive than HO3. Option D is incorrect because the HO8 Modified Coverage Form Policy is designed for older homes and provides more limited coverage, often with lower limits and fewer perils covered. Question 37. In a dwelling policy DP3, which of the following best describes the coverage? D. Fair rental value. A. It provides compensation for the loss of rental income from a property that is rented to others if the property becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. B. It covers the cost of repairs to a rental property owned by the insured after a covered loss. C. It reimburses the insured for the cost of renting a temporary residence while their primary dwelling is being repaired. D. It provides coverage for loss of rental income from a property rented by the insured to others regardless of the cause of the loss. Correct answer A. It provides compensation for the loss of rental income from a property that is rented to others if the property becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Explanation. Coverage D. Fair rental value under dwelling policy DP3 provides compensation for the loss of rental income when a rental property owned by the insured becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. This coverage compensates for lost income during the period the property cannot generate rental income due to damage. Option B is incorrect because it describes the coverage for repairs, which is not the focus of fair rental value coverage. Option C describes additional living expenses, which is covered under a different provision or policy. Option D is incorrect as fair rental value coverage is only applicable to losses caused by covered perils, not for all causes of loss. Question 38. Which of the following statements best describes the purpose of a home-based business endorsement (ICA) homeowners insurance policy? A. It extends liability coverage to protect against business-related risks and damages that occur in the home-based business operations. B. It increases the dwelling coverage limits to include the value of business equipment and inventory. C. It provides coverage for business-related losses occurring off the insured premises. D. It covers personal property used for business purposes under a standard homeowners insurance policy. Correct answer A. It extends liability coverage to protect against business-related risks and damages that occur in the home-based business operations. Explanation. A home-based business endorsement extends liability coverage specifically to address risks and damages associated with business operations conducted from home. This endorsement helps protect against liabilities arising from business activities such as accidents involving business clients or customers. Option B is incorrect because increasing dwelling coverage to include business equipment is not typically covered under a home-based business endorsement. Option C is incorrect as coverage for off-premises business-related losses may require a separate commercial insurance policy. Option D is incorrect because a home-based business endorsement typically adds liability coverage rather than covering business property under a standard homeowners policy. Question 39. Lisa has a homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas and recently learned that her basement suffered water damage due to a broken pipe. She is concerned about whether her homeowner's policy will cover the damage. Which of the following is the best course of action for Lisa to determine her coverage? A. Review the policy's exclusions to see if water damage from a broken pipe is listed as an exclusion. B. Immediately file a claim with her homeowner's insurance company without reviewing the policy. C. Assume that water damage is automatically covered under her policy since it is a common issue. D. Purchase a separate flood insurance policy to cover the water damage from the broken pipe. Correct answer A. Review the policy's exclusions to see if water damage from a broken pipe is listed as an exclusion. Explanation. Lisa should review a homeowner's insurance policy's exclusions to determine if water damage from a broken pipe is covered. Many standard homeowners insurance policies cover water damage resulting from sudden and accidental discharges like a broken pipe, but exclusions and limitations vary and it is important to verify coverage specifics. Option B is not advisable as filing a claim without understanding the policy's coverage could lead to disputes or denied claims if the damage is not covered. Option C is incorrect because not all water damage is automatically covered. The specific perils and exclusions must be checked. Option D is incorrect because flood insurance is designed for flood-related damage, not for damage from internal plumbing failures. Question 40. Which of the following best describes the coverage for damage to your auto under a personal auto policy (PAP) in Kansas? A. It covers the cost of repairing damage to the insured's vehicle caused by a collision with another vehicle or object. B. It provides reimbursement for medical expenses incurred by the insured as a result of an accident. C. It covers the loss of rental income from the insured's vehicle while it is being repaired. D. It provides coverage for damage to the insured's vehicle due to an accident with an uninsured motorist. Correct answer A. It covers the cost of repairing damage to the insured's vehicle caused by a collision with another vehicle or object. Explanation. Coverage for damage to your auto under a personal auto policy (PAP) typically includes collision coverage, which pays for the repair or replacement of the insured's vehicle after a collision with another vehicle or object. This coverage helps cover the cost of repairing or replacing the vehicle if damaged in an accident. Option B is incorrect because medical expenses are covered under medical payments coverage or personal injury protection (PIP), not under damage to the vehicle. Option C is incorrect as rental income is not applicable to personal auto policies. However, rental reimbursement may be available as a separate endorsement. Option D is incorrect because damage caused by an uninsured motorist is covered under uninsured motorist property damage coverage, not under damage to your auto. Question 41. In Kansas, which of the following is a typical exclusion in a standard homeowner's insurance policy related to earthquake damage? A. Earthquake damage to the primary dwelling and attached structures. B. Earthquake damage to detached structures such as garages and sheds. C. Earthquake damage to personal property inside the dwelling. D. Earthquake damage is generally covered, but only if an earthquake endorsement is added to the policy. Correct answer: D. Earthquake damage is generally covered, but only if an earthquake endorsement is added to the policy. Explanation: a standard homeowner's insurance policy typically excludes coverage for earthquake damage unless an additional endorsement or separate earthquake insurance policy is purchased. Earthquake damage is not included in standard coverage and requires specific endorsement to be covered. Option A is incorrect because earthquake damage is not covered by standard homeowners policies and would require an endorsement. Option B is incorrect as detached structures are also not covered for earthquake damage without an endorsement. Option C is incorrect because personal property damage from earthquakes is excluded under standard policies as well, necessitating an endorsement. Question 42. Michael has a personal umbrella policy with a $1 million limit. He was involved in an accident where he was found liable for $750,000 in damages. His personal auto policy has a liability limit of $300,000. How much of the claim will Michael's personal umbrella policy cover? A. $250,000. B. $450,000. C. $750,000. D. $1 million. Correct answer A. $250,000. Explanation: Michael's personal auto policy covers up to $300,000 in liability, but the total damages are $750,000. The umbrella policy will cover the amount exceeding the underlying policy's limits. Therefore, the personal umbrella policy will cover $750,000. Total damages minus $300,000. Personal auto policy limit, which equals $450,000. However, if the umbrella policy has a $1 million limit, the remaining $250,000 will be covered by the umbrella policy. Option B is incorrect as it suggests that the entire amount exceeding the underlying limit would be covered. Option C is incorrect because the total amount of damages is not covered entirely by the umbrella policy, only the excess over the primary coverages. Option D is incorrect because the umbrella policy covers the excess amount, not the total claim. Question 43. In Kansas, which of the following accurately describes the purpose and coverage of a personal articles floater PAF? A. A personal articles floater provides coverage for personal property while it is in transit and during temporary storage, without any perils excluded. B. A personal articles floater is used to cover specific high-value items like jewelry, fine art, and collectibles on an all-risk basis, offering broader protection than a standard homeowner's policy. C. A personal articles floater covers all types of business equipment used at home for a home-based business. D. A personal articles floater is designed to provide liability coverage for injuries caused by personal items while they are being used. Correct answer: B. A personal articles floater is used to cover specific high-value items like jewelry, fine art, and collectibles on an all-risk basis, offering broader protection than a standard homeowner's policy. Explanation: a personal articles floater is designed to provide specialized coverage for high-value items such as jewelry, fine art, and collectibles. It offers broader protection on an all-risk basis, meaning it covers a wider range of perils compared to a standard homeowner's insurance policy, which typically covers these items only against named perils. Option A is incorrect because the personal articles floater does not inherently provide coverage for all perils or cover items during all transit and storage scenarios. Option C is incorrect because a personal articles floater does not cover business equipment. Business property requires different types of coverage. Option D is incorrect as personal articles floaters do not provide liability coverage. They are focused on property protection. Question 44. What is a key advantage of purchasing a personal umbrella policy over increasing the liability limits on underlying policies? A personal umbrella policy covers additional types of claims not included in standard liability policies, such as personal injury claims. B. A personal umbrella policy automatically increases the coverage limits on all underlying policies without requiring additional premiums. C. A personal umbrella policy only provides coverage for losses exceeding the primary insurance limits, but does not offer additional types of coverage beyond liability. D. A personal umbrella policy reduces the cost of premiums for all underlying policies by bundling them together. Correct answer A. A personal umbrella policy covers additional types of claims not included in standard liability policies, such as personal injury claims. Explanation: a personal umbrella policy provides extra liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies and can also cover additional types of claims not typically covered by standard policies, such as certain personal injury claims. E.g., defamation. This extends protection in ways that standard policies may not. Option B is incorrect because increasing coverage limits on underlying policies does not automatically affect the umbrella policy and might not cover additional types of claims. Option C is incorrect as a personal umbrella policy does offer broader coverage for additional types of claims beyond just liability. Option D is incorrect because the personal umbrella policy does not necessarily reduce premiums for underlying policies, it provides additional coverage and limits. Question 45. Samantha recently moved to Kansas and purchased a new home. She is evaluating her options for earthquake insurance. Which of the following is true about acquiring earthquake insurance for her new home? A. Earthquake insurance is automatically included in standard homeowners insurance policies in Kansas and does not require separate purchase. B. Samantha can add earthquake insurance as an endorsement to her existing homeowners insurance policy to cover potential earthquake damage. C. Earthquake insurance provides coverage only for structural damage to the home but not for personal property. D. Earthquake insurance is unnecessary in Kansas due to the low risk of earthquakes in the state. Correct answer. B. Samantha can add earthquake insurance as an endorsement to her existing homeowners insurance policy to cover potential earthquake damage. Explanation: in Kansas, earthquake insurance is not typically included in standard homeowners insurance policies and must be purchased separately, often as an endorsement. This additional coverage helps protect against damages specifically caused by earthquakes. Option A is incorrect because standard homeowners insurance policies in Kansas generally do not include earthquake insurance by default. Option C is incorrect because earthquake insurance usually covers both structural damage and personal property, depending on the policy specifics. Option D is incorrect because, while the risk may be low compared to other states, earthquakes can still occur, making it prudent to consider earthquake insurance. Question 46. Which of the following is a common exclusion under Standard Dwelling Policy D1 in Kansas? A. Damage from fire and lightning. B. Damage from vandalism and malicious mischief. C. Damage from flood or water backup. D. Damage from a falling object. Correct answer: C. Damage from flood or water backup. Explanation: the D1 Basic Form Dwelling Policy provides coverage for specific named perils, but it commonly excludes damage from flood and water backup. Flood damage and water backup require separate policies or endorsements for coverage, such as flood insurance for flood damage. Option A is incorrect because fire and lightning are covered perils under the D1 policy. Option B is incorrect as vandalism and malicious mischief are typically covered under the D1, provided the property is vacant or under certain conditions. Option D is incorrect because damage from falling objects is covered under the D1 policy. Question 47. Which of the following best describes the term self-insured retention in the context of a personal umbrella policy? A. The amount the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy kicks in addition to the primary insurance limits. B. The total amount the umbrella policy will pay for any single claim, regardless of underlying insurance limits. C. The deductible amount that the insured must pay when a claim is filed under the umbrella policy. D. The portion of the claim covered by the umbrella policy that is not covered by the underlying insurance policies. Correct answer A. The amount the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy kicks in addition to the primary insurance limits. Explanation: self-insured retention, sir, is the amount that the insured must cover out of pocket before the personal umbrella policy provides additional coverage. This amount is above and beyond the coverage provided by the underlying insurance policies. Option B is incorrect because self-insured retention is not a cap on the total amount of the umbrella policy's coverage. It is the threshold the insured must pay before the policy provides coverage. Option C is incorrect as self-insured retention is not a deductible but a retention amount that must be met before the umbrella policy applies. Option D is incorrect because self-insured retention does not refer to the portion of the claim covered by the umbrella policy, but rather to the amount the insured is responsible for before the policy pays. Question 48. David has a homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas that includes coverage for personal liability. If David's dog bites a neighbor, causing $50,000 in medical expenses, how will his personal liability coverage respond? A. The policy will cover the full $50,000 in medical expenses as long as the dog bite is not excluded under the policy. B. The policy will cover the expenses up to the liability limit of the policy, but David will be responsible for any amount exceeding this limit. C. The policy will only cover the medical expenses if David can prove that the neighbor was at fault for the bite. D. The policy will not cover any expenses related to the dog bite, as dog bites are generally excluded from personal liability coverage. Correct answer. B. The policy will cover the expenses up to the liability limit of the policy, but David will be responsible for any amount exceeding this limit. Explanation. Personal liability coverage under a homeowner's insurance policy typically covers damages for which the insured is legally liable, including injuries caused by pets. The policy will cover medical expenses up to the liability limit, but if the expenses exceed this limit, David will be responsible for the remaining amount. Option A is incorrect because coverage is limited to the policy's liability limits. Option C is incorrect because personal liability coverage does not require proving the neighbor's fault. It covers the insured's liability regardless. Option D is incorrect as many homeowners insurance policies cover dog bites, but coverage is subject to the policy's liability limits and any specific exclusions or conditions. Question 49. In Kansas, which of the following is a key difference between a dwelling policy DPA 2 and a dwelling policy DP 3? A. DPA 2 provides coverage for all risks while DPA 3 only covers named perils. B. DPA 3 provides coverage for all risks to the dwelling and named perils for personal property, whereas DPA 2 covers both dwelling and personal property on a named peril basis. C. DPA 2 covers both the dwelling and personal property on an all-risk basis, while DPA 3 only covers the dwelling on a named peril basis. D. DPA 3 covers personal property on an all-risk basis, while DPA 2 provides coverage for the dwelling on an all-risk basis. Correct answer. B. DPA 3 provides coverage for all risks to the dwelling and named perils for personal property, whereas DPA 2 covers both dwelling and personal property on a named peril basis. Explanation. The DPA 3 special form dwelling policy covers the dwelling on an open peril basis, meaning it covers all risks except those specifically excluded, while personal property is covered on a named peril basis, meaning only the perils specifically listed in the policy are covered. In contrast, the DPA 2 broad form dwelling policy covers both the dwelling and personal property on a named peril basis. Option A is incorrect because DPA 2 and DPA 3 differ in how they cover risks but not in the direction stated. Option C is incorrect because DPA 2 does not cover the dwelling or personal property on an all-risk basis. Option D is incorrect because DPA 3 covers the dwelling on an all-risk basis and personal property on a named peril basis, not the other way around. Question 50. Which of the following is typically covered under a personal auto policy PAP with medical payments coverage in Kansas? A. Medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers in the insured vehicle regardless of fault. B. Lost wages for the insured and passengers injured in an accident. C. Property damage to other vehicles involved in the accident. D. Legal defense costs related to liability claims made against the insured. Correct answer A. Medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers in the insured vehicle regardless of fault. Explanation. Medical payments coverage under personal auto policy PAP provides coverage for medical expenses incurred by the insured and passengers in the insured vehicle regardless of who is at fault in the accident. This coverage helps pay for medical costs related to injuries sustained in the accident. Option B is incorrect as medical payments coverage does not cover lost wages. It covers medical expenses only. Option C is incorrect because property damage to other vehicles is covered under liability coverage, not medical payments coverage. Option D is incorrect as legal defense costs are covered under liability coverage, not medical payments coverage. Question 51. Emily has a homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas and recently installed a home security system. She wants to ensure that this installation could potentially lower her premiums. What should Emily do to confirm that she will receive a discount for her new home security system? A. Contact her insurance agent to inquire if her policy offers a discount for having a home security system and request an endorsement if applicable. B. Assume that the installation automatically qualifies her for a discount without taking further action. C. Notify her insurance company of the installation but wait for them to update her policy terms and discount automatically. D. Review her homeowner's insurance policy terms for any mention of security system discounts and make changes only if mentioned explicitly. Correct answer A. Contact her insurance agent to inquire if her policy offers a discount for having a home security system and request an endorsement if applicable. Explanation. Emily should contact her insurance agent to verify if her homeowner's insurance policy offers discounts for home security systems. Insurance companies often provide discounts for added security measures, but the policy might need to be updated or an endorsement added to reflect this discount. Option B is incorrect because assuming the discount without confirmation could result in missing out on potential savings if not applied properly. Option C is incorrect as insurance companies generally require policyholders to actively request and confirm discounts for security systems. Option D is incorrect because while reviewing policy terms is useful, proactive communication with the agent ensures the discount is applied correctly and timely. Question 52. Which of the following best describes the purpose of a loss of use coverage under a homeowner's insurance policy? A. It provides financial support for replacing lost or stolen personal property due to a covered loss. B. It covers the cost of temporary housing and additional living expenses if the home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. C. It reimburses the insured for the cost of repairs to the dwelling itself following a covered loss. D. It provides coverage for loss of rental income from a rental property owned by the insured. Correct answer. B. It covers the cost of temporary housing and additional living expenses if the home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. Explanation. Loss of use coverage under a homeowner's insurance policy, also known as additional living expenses, helps cover the costs of temporary housing and additional living expenses when the insured's home is uninhabitable due to a covered peril. This includes expenses such as hotel stays, increased food costs, and other necessities while the home is being repaired. Option A is incorrect because it describes coverage for personal property rather than loss of use. Option C is incorrect as it describes dwelling repair costs, which are covered under dwelling coverage, not loss of use. Option D is incorrect because loss of rental income is typically covered under fair rental value coverage, not loss of use. Question 53. What is the primary difference between a personal umbrella policy and a personal liability policy? A personal umbrella policy provides broader coverage and higher limits than a personal liability policy, including additional types of risks. B. A personal liability policy covers damage to the insured's property, while a personal umbrella policy covers liability risks only. C. A personal umbrella policy only applies to property damage claims, whereas a personal liability policy applies to all types of liability claims. D. A personal liability policy covers claims related to professional services, whereas a personal umbrella policy covers general personal liability claims. Correct answer A. A personal umbrella policy provides broader coverage and higher limits than a personal liability policy, including additional types of risks. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy offers extended coverage above and beyond the limits of underlying liability policies, including broader types of risks such as personal injury claims, defamation, false arrest, etc., and higher coverage limits. It provides an additional layer of protection beyond the liability coverage provided by underlying policies like auto or home insurance. Option B is incorrect because both types of policies primarily cover liability risks, not property damage. Option C is incorrect as a personal umbrella policy covers liability claims, not just property damage. Option D is incorrect because a personal liability policy covers general personal liability claims, not professional services, and an umbrella policy enhances coverage rather than being specific to one type of claim. Question 54. Tom has a personal auto policy PAP in Kansas with uninsured motorist coverage. He's involved in an accident with another driver who does not have insurance. Tom's damages total $40,000 and his uninsured motorist coverage has a limit of $25,000. How will his uninsured motorist coverage respond? A. The policy will cover the full $40,000 in damages because the other driver was uninsured. B. The policy will cover $25,000 of the damages and Tom will need to pay the remaining $15,000 out of pocket. C. The policy will cover $40,000, but Tom will only receive $25,000 as a maximum payout. D. The policy will not provide any coverage since Tom's damages exceed the policy limit. Correct answer. B. The policy will cover $25,000 of the damages and Tom will need to pay the remaining $15,000 out of pocket. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage will pay up to its limit for damages caused by an uninsured driver. In this case, Tom's policy limit is $25,000, so the coverage will pay that amount and Tom will be responsible for the remaining $15,000 of his damages. Option A is incorrect because the policy limit caps the amount covered. Option C is incorrect because while the policy covers up to $25,000, it does not provide $40,000 in total payment. Option D is incorrect as the policy provides coverage up to its limit, not none at all. Question 55. In Kansas, which of the following is a correct statement about the coverage provided by an inland marine policy for personal property? A. Inland marine insurance covers personal property while it is located at the insured's residence but not while it is in transit. B. Inland marine insurance provides coverage for personal property on a worldwide basis, including during transit and while at temporary storage locations. C. Inland marine insurance only covers property located on vehicles used for business purposes and does not extend to personal property. D. Inland marine insurance provides coverage for property primarily used for commercial purposes, such as inventory and equipment, but not for personal items. Correct answer. B. Inland marine insurance provides coverage for personal property on a worldwide basis, including during transit and while at temporary storage locations. Explanation. Inland marine insurance is designed to cover personal property that is in transit or temporarily stored at various locations. It offers broader protection than standard homeowners insurance, covering items worldwide, including during transport. This type of insurance is suitable for high-value items such as jewelry, art, and collectibles. Option A is incorrect because inland marine insurance typically covers personal property during transit as well as at temporary storage locations. Option C is incorrect because inland marine insurance covers personal property, not just business-related property on vehicles. Option D is incorrect because inland marine insurance can cover personal items, not just commercial property. Question 56. Which of the following best describes the exclusions section of a homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas? A. It lists additional coverages and endorsements available for purchase to enhance the standard policy. B. It outlines the types of losses or damages that are not covered under the policy and provides reasons for these exclusions. C. It provides detailed instructions on how to file a claim and the documentation required for claim processing. D. It specifies the premium amount and payment schedule for the homeowner's insurance policy. Correct answer. B. It outlines the types of losses or damages that are not covered under the policy and provides reasons for these exclusions. Explanation. The exclusions section of a homeowner's insurance policy details what is not covered by the policy. This includes specific perils, types of property, or causes of loss that are excluded from coverage, such as flood damage, wear and tear, or intentional acts. Option A is incorrect because exclusions do not list additional coverages or endorsements. Option C is incorrect as it pertains to claims processing procedures, not exclusions. Option D is incorrect because the premium and payment schedule are detailed in the policy declarations and premium sections, not the exclusions. Question 57. Linda's Kansas homeowners insurance policy includes a $10,000 deductible for her dwelling coverage. After severe hailstorm causes $40,000 in damage to her roof, how much will Linda's insurance cover, assuming no other policy limits or exclusions apply? A. $40,000, as the deductible is not subtracted from the claim amount. B. $30,000, which is the total damage minus the $10,000 deductible. C. $10,000, which is the deductible amount and represents the total coverage for the damage. D. $50,000, which is the total damage plus the deductible amount covered by the policy. Correct answer, B. $30,000, which is the total damage minus the $10,000 deductible. Explanation: in a homeowner's insurance policy with a $10,000 deductible, the deductible amount is subtracted from the total claim amount. Therefore, for $40,000 in damage, the insurance coverage would be $30,000, $40,000. $10,000 deductible. Option A is incorrect because the deductible is always subtracted from the total claim amount. Option C is incorrect as the deductible does not represent the total coverage. It is only the amount Linda will have to pay out of pocket. Option D is incorrect because the deductible is not added to the claim amount, it is subtracted. Question 58. In Kansas, which of the following statements accurately describes the duty to defend a provision in a personal auto policy, PAP? A. The insurer is only required to defend the insured if the claim is covered under the policy and does not exceed the policy limits. B. The insurer must defend the insured against all claims, regardless of coverage, as long as the claims are made within the policy period. C. The insurer's duty to defend is separate from its duty to indemnify and applies even if the claim is not covered under the policy. D. The insurer is obligated to pay the defense costs only up to the policy's coverage limit, leaving the insured responsible for any additional costs. Correct answer, C. The insurer's duty to defend is separate from its duty to indemnify and applies even if the claim is not covered under the policy. Explanation: in a personal auto policy, PAP, the insurer's duty to defend the insured is a broad duty that is separate from the duty to indemnify, pay damages. The insurer must defend the insured against claims even if the allegations are not covered by the policy, as long as the claims fall within the general scope of the policy's coverage. This duty is broader than the duty to indemnify. Option A is incorrect because the insurer's duty to defend is not dependent on the claim being covered or the amount of damages. Option B is incorrect as the insurer's duty to defend does not apply to all claims indiscriminately. It must relate to claims that fall within the policy's coverage scope. Option D is incorrect because the insurer generally covers defense costs without deducting from the policy's coverage limit. Question 59. Which of the following is a typical exclusion under a standard homeowner's insurance policy for damage to other structures? Coverage B. A. Damage caused by fire or lightning. B. Damage caused by an earthquake. C. Damage resulting from vandalism or malicious mischief. D. Damage caused by a falling tree branch. Correct answer, B. Damage caused by an earthquake. Explanation: in a standard homeowner's insurance policy, coverage B for other structures usually excludes damage from earthquakes. Earthquake damage typically requires a separate earthquake insurance policy or endorsement to be covered. Option A is incorrect because fire and lightning are covered perils under coverage B. Option C is incorrect because vandalism and malicious mischief are typically covered under coverage B. Option D is incorrect as damage from falling tree branches is usually covered under coverage B, provided the branches were not intentionally cut down. Question 60. Jason's homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas has a $100,000 liability limit and a $1,000 medical payments limit. During a party at his home, a guest trips over a rug and injures themselves, incurring $2,000 in medical expenses. How will Jason's insurance policy handle this claim? A. The policy will pay $1,000 for medical expenses and Jason will be responsible for the remaining $1,000. B. The policy will cover the full $2,000 in medical expenses using the $1,000 medical payments limit and $1,000 from the liability coverage. C. The policy will cover $1,000 in medical expenses and apply the remaining $1,000 towards the liability limit if the guest sues. D. The policy will not cover any medical expenses as the medical payments limit is less than the incurred amount. Correct answer A. The policy will pay $1,000 for medical expenses and Jason will be responsible for the remaining $1,000. Explanation: under a homeowner's insurance policy, the medical payments coverage provides a set amount for medical expenses incurred due to an accident on the insured property, regardless of fault. In this case, Jason's policy has a $1,000 medical payments limit, so the insurance will cover $1,000 of the $2,000 in medical expenses. Jason will need to cover the remaining $1,000. Option B is incorrect because the medical payments limit is separate from liability coverage and will not use liability limits to cover medical expenses. Option C is incorrect as the liability limit is not used to cover medical payments. Option D is incorrect because the policy does cover medical expenses up to the medical payments limit, even if it is less than the total expenses. Question 61. In Kansas, which of the following best describes the self-insured retention? Sir, in a personal umbrella policy, A. It is the maximum amount the insurer will pay for each claim before the policy coverage begins. B. It is the amount the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy will cover additional damages. C. It is the total amount the umbrella policy will cover for all claims during the policy period. D. It is the deductible amount for the primary auto or homeowners policy that must be satisfied before the umbrella policy coverage applies. Correct answer. B. It is the amount the insured must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy will cover additional damages. Explanation. Self-insured retention, sir, is the amount that the insured must pay out of pocket before the personal umbrella policy will start to provide coverage. It acts as a threshold for the umbrella coverage and is separate from deductibles on primary policies. The umbrella policy kicks in only after the SIR is met. Option A is incorrect because the SIR is not a cap on the insurer's payment, but an amount the insured pays before the umbrella policy covers additional costs. Option C is incorrect as the SIR does not represent the total coverage amount, but rather the amount the insured must pay before the policy coverage starts. Option D is incorrect because the SIR is not the deductible of primary policies, but a separate requirement for umbrella coverage. Question 62. Which of the following is a common exclusion in a dwelling policy? D1 in Kansas. A. Fire and lightning. B. Theft of personal property. C. Vandalism and malicious mischief. D. Damage caused by an explosion. Correct answer. B. Theft of personal property. Explanation. The D1 basic form dwelling policy typically excludes coverage for theft of personal property. This policy is the most basic form and has a limited range of covered perils. Theft is generally not included, and it is important to consider adding endorsements or opting for a broader form like D2 or D3 for more comprehensive coverage. Option A is incorrect because fire and lightning are covered perils under the D1 policy. Option C is incorrect because vandalism and malicious mischief are covered under D1 if the property is vacant for a certain period. Option D is incorrect as damage from explosions is covered under D1. Question 63. Sarah, a Kansas homeowner, discovers that a burst pipe has caused significant water damage to her home, including her personal belongings. A homeowner's insurance policy includes a $50,000 limit for dwelling coverage and a $20,000 limit for personal property coverage with a $1,000 deductible for each. The total damage to her dwelling is $40,000 and $15,000 to her personal property. How much will Sarah's insurance policy pay for the damages? A. $39,000, which includes $40,000 for the dwelling damage minus the $1,000 deductible and $14,000 for personal property after the $1,000 deductible. B. $34,000, which includes $39,000 for the dwelling damage minus the $1,000 deductible and $14,000 for personal property after the deductible. C. $50,000, which covers the total dwelling and personal property damage combined after deductibles. D. $40,000, which covers the total damage to both the dwelling and personal property after applying the $1,000 deductible to each. Correct answer A. $39,000, which includes $40,000 for the dwelling damage minus the $1,000 deductible and $14,000 for personal property after the $1,000 deductible. Explanation. The insurance policy will cover the dwelling damage up to $40,000 minus the $1,000 deductible, which totals $39,000. For personal property, the coverage is $15,000 minus the $1,000 deductible, resulting in $14,000. Adding these amounts gives Sarah a total coverage of $39,000. Option B is incorrect because it inaccurately combines the coverage amounts. Option C is incorrect as it does not account for the deductibles. Option D is incorrect because it combines the total damage amounts without subtracting the deductibles. Question 64. In Kansas, how does a scheduled personal property endorsement differ from a personal property floater ECA homeowner's insurance policy? A scheduled personal property endorsement provides broader coverage for items listed specifically in the policy, while a personal property floater covers personal property worldwide without the need for specific listing. B. A scheduled personal property endorsement covers personal property for a specific dollar amount and perils listed in the homeowner's policy, while a personal property floater only covers property while in transit. C. A scheduled personal property endorsement is used to add coverage for personal property that is not typically covered under the standard homeowner's policy, while a personal property floater is used to increase the liability coverage. D. A scheduled personal property endorsement provides coverage for personal property on a replacement cost basis, while a personal property floater provides actual cash value coverage. Correct answer A. A scheduled personal property endorsement provides broader coverage for items listed specifically in the policy, while a personal property floater covers personal property worldwide without the need for specific listing. Explanation: a scheduled personal property endorsement provides enhanced coverage for high-value items that are specifically listed and described in the policy, often covering these items on a replacement cost basis. A personal property floater provides broader, worldwide coverage for personal property including items not specifically listed and does not typically require detailed listing. Option B is incorrect as scheduled personal property endorsements often cover more than just the perils listed and do not only cover property in transit. Option C is incorrect because scheduled personal property endorsements increase coverage limits, not liability, and a personal property floater covers more than just liability. Option D is incorrect as both endorsements and floaters can provide either replacement cost or actual cash value coverage depending on the policy terms. Question 65. Which of the following scenarios typically involves a special Form DP3 dwelling policy in Kansas? A. A policy designed for owner-occupied homes with coverage for named perils only. B. The policy that provides coverage for the dwelling on an open perils basis and personal property on a named perils basis. C. A policy designed exclusively for rental properties with limited coverage for building structures. D. A policy providing coverage for personal property and dwelling on a replacement cost basis with minimal exclusions. Correct answer: B. A policy that provides coverage for the dwelling on an open perils basis and personal property on a named perils basis. Explanation: the special Form DE3 dwelling policy provides comprehensive coverage for the dwelling on an open perils basis, meaning it covers all risks except those specifically excluded. Personal property under AE3 is typically covered on a named perils basis, meaning it only covers risks that are specifically listed in the policy. Option A is incorrect as it describes the Deeper 1 or Deeper 2 forms, which are not as comprehensive. Option C is incorrect because the Deeper 3 policy can cover both owner-occupied and rental properties, and it is not limited to rental properties. Option D is incorrect because the Deeper 3 does not necessarily provide minimal exclusions but is comprehensive for the dwelling and more restrictive for personal property. Question 66. Alex, a Kansas resident, has a homeowner's insurance policy with a $100,000 limit on liability coverage and a $300,000 limit on umbrella coverage. During a social event at his home, a guest is injured and sues for $350,000. How will Alex's insurance policies respond? A. The homeowner's insurance will cover $100,000 and the umbrella policy will cover the remaining $250,000. B. The homeowner's insurance will cover $300,000 and the umbrella policy will not apply. C. The umbrella policy will cover the full $350,000 since it is a higher limit than the homeowner's insurance. D. The homeowner's insurance will cover $100,000 and the umbrella policy will cover $200,000, leaving Alex responsible for $50,000. Correct answer A. The homeowner's insurance will cover $100,000 and the umbrella policy will cover the remaining $250,000. Explanation: in this scenario, Alex's homeowner's insurance will cover up to its limit of $100,000. The umbrella policy will then provide coverage beyond this limit up to its own $300,000 limit, covering the remaining $250,000 of the $350,000 claim. Option B is incorrect because the homeowner's insurance limit is $100,000, not $300,000, and the umbrella policy does apply. Option C is incorrect because the umbrella policy will only cover the amount exceeding the homeowner's insurance limit, not the entire claim amount. Option D is incorrect because the umbrella policy will cover up to $250,000, not $200,000, and Alex will be responsible for any remaining amount above this. Question 67. In Kansas, which of the following best describes the extended replacement cost of endorsement in a homeowner's insurance policy? A. It increases the coverage limit for the dwelling to a specified percentage above the policy limit to account for inflation or increased rebuilding costs. B. It provides coverage for the additional costs of rebuilding the dwelling beyond the policy limit if the construction costs exceed the original policy amount. C. It adds coverage for the cost of upgrading or improving the dwelling to current building codes or standards. D. It covers the replacement cost of personal property but excludes coverage for any increases in rebuilding costs. Correct answer. B. It provides coverage for the additional costs of rebuilding the dwelling beyond the policy limit if the construction costs exceed the original policy amount. Explanation. The extended replacement cost endorsement increases the coverage limit of the dwelling by a specified percentage, e.g., 20% or 25% above the policy's original limit. This provides additional funds to cover higher than expected rebuilding costs due to inflation or increased construction prices, ensuring that the homeowner can fully rebuild their property even if the costs exceed the original policy limit. Option A is incorrect because extended replacement cost does not simply account for inflation but covers costs beyond the policy limit. Option C describes a building code upgrade endorsement rather than extended replacement cost. Option D is incorrect as extended replacement cost is specifically related to the dwelling and not personal property. Question 60. Which of the following is a key characteristic of a personal articles floater PAF in Kansas? A. It provides broad, worldwide coverage for high-value items with no deductible. B. It covers personal property while it is located in the insured's home and while it is in transit, but excludes coverage for international travel. C. It offers limited coverage for personal items that are not covered by the standard homeowner's policy and includes a per item limit. D. It provides coverage for personal property based on actual cash value rather than replacement cost. Correct answer. A. It provides broad, worldwide coverage for high-value items with no deductible. Explanation. In personal articles floater, PAF offers comprehensive coverage for high-value personal items such as jewelry, art, and collectibles on a worldwide basis. It typically covers these items with no deductible and provides protection against risks not covered by the standard homeowner's policy. Option B is incorrect because a PAF provides worldwide coverage including international travel. Option C is incorrect because a PAF generally does not have per item limits and offers broad coverage rather than limited coverage. Option D is incorrect as a PAF usually covers items on a replacement cost basis, not actual cash value. Question 69. Emily, who lives in Kansas, has a dwelling policy D-2 with $150,000 coverage for her dwelling and $20,000 coverage for other structures. After a storm, a tree falls and damages both her dwelling and a detached garage. The cost to repair the dwelling is $25,000 and the garage is $5,000. How much will Emily's policy pay for the damage to both structures? A. $25,000 for the dwelling and $5,000 for the garage, totaling $30,000. B. $20,000 for the dwelling and $5,000 for the garage, totaling $25,000. C. $25,000 for the dwelling and $20,000 for the garage, totaling $45,000. D. $150,000 for the dwelling and $5,000 for the garage, totaling $155,000. Correct answer. A. $25,000 for the dwelling and $5,000 for the garage, totaling $30,000. Explanation. The D-2 broad form dwelling policy provides coverage for both the dwelling and other structures. The policy will cover the repair cost of the dwelling up to its coverage limit and the detached garage up to the limit for other structures. In this case, the repair costs are $25,000 for the dwelling and $5,000 for the garage, and the total payout will be $30,000. Option B is incorrect because it underestimates the dwelling coverage. Option C is incorrect as it overstates the dwelling coverage and includes more for the garage than the policy limit allows. Option D is incorrect as it inaccurately reflects the coverage amounts beyond the limits specified. Question 70. In Kansas, what is the primary purpose of a personal injury protection PIP endorsement in an auto insurance policy? A. To provide coverage for property damage caused by an uninsured motorist. B. To cover medical expenses and lost wages for the insured and passengers regardless of who was at fault in an auto accident. C. To offer liability coverage for bodily injury to others in an auto accident where the insured is at fault. D. To provide coverage for damage to the insured's vehicle caused by natural disasters. Correct answer. B. To cover medical expenses and lost wages for the insured and passengers regardless of who was at fault in an auto accident. Explanation. Personal injury protection (PIP) is designed to cover medical expenses, lost wages, and other related costs for the insured and their passengers regardless of fault in an auto accident. This coverage is mandatory in some states and optional in others, but is intended to ensure that individuals receive prompt medical treatment and compensation for lost income. Option A is incorrect because coverage for property damage caused by an uninsured motorist falls under uninsured motorist coverage, not PIP. Option C is incorrect because PIP does not cover liability for bodily injury, but rather medical expenses and lost wages. Option D is incorrect as PIP does not cover damage to vehicles from natural disasters, and that would be covered under comprehensive coverage. Question 71. Which of the following perils is typically excluded under a standard homeowners insurance policy HO3 in Kansas? A. Theft of personal property. B. Damage caused by sudden and accidental water discharge. C. Damage caused by earth movement or earthquakes. D. Fire damage to the dwelling. Correct answer. C. Damage caused by earth movement or earthquakes. Explanation. Under a standard homeowners insurance policy HO3, damage caused by earth movement, including earthquakes, is typically excluded. Homeowners seeking coverage for such risks usually need to purchase a separate earthquake insurance policy or endorsement. Option A is incorrect as theft of personal property is covered under the HO3 policy. Option B is incorrect because damage caused by sudden and accidental water discharge, such as from a burst pipe, is generally covered. Option D is incorrect as fire damage to the dwelling is covered under the HO3 policy. Question 72. Mark's Kansas home is insured under a homeowner's insurance policy with a $200,000 limit for dwelling coverage, a $30,000 limit for personal property coverage, and a $10,000 loss of use limit. After a fire, Mark's dwelling incurs $150,000 in damage and his personal property sustains $25,000 in damage. Additionally, he incurs $5,000 in additional living expenses while his home is being repaired. How much will Mark's insurance policy pay for these claims? A. $150,000 for dwelling damage, $25,000 for personal property, and $5,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $180,000. B. $150,000 for dwelling damage, $25,000 for personal property, and $10,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $185,000. C. $150,000 for dwelling damage, $20,000 for personal property due to the policy limit, and $5,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $175,000. D. $200,000 for dwelling damage, $30,000 for personal property, and $5,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $235,000. Correct answer A. $150,000 for dwelling damage, $25,000 for personal property, and $5,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $180,000. Explanation. Mark's insurance policy will cover up to the policy limits for each type of claim. The dwelling damage is covered up to the $200,000 limit, but the actual damage is $150,000. Personal property damage is covered up to the $30,000 limit, with actual damage being $25,000. Loss of use additional living expenses is covered up to $10,000, but Mark only incurred $5,000. Thus, the total payout is $150,000 plus $25,000 plus $5,000 is equals $180,000. Option B is incorrect because the additional living expenses are $5,000, not $10,000. Option C is incorrect as the policy provides full coverage up to the limit for personal property and the loss of use. Option D is incorrect as the dwelling damage and personal property claims do not exceed the policy limits. Question 73. In Kansas, how does a special coverage endorsement typically enhance a standard homeowner's insurance policy? A. It provides additional liability coverage for incidents occurring outside the insured's residence. B. It expands coverage to include perils that are not covered under the standard policy, such as flood or earthquake damage. C. It increases the deductible amount for certain types of claims, such as theft or vandalism. D. It adds coverage for additional living expenses beyond the standard policy limit. Correct answer. B. It expands coverage to include perils that are not covered under the standard policy, such as flood or earthquake damage. Explanation: a special coverage endorsement is used to add coverage for perils that are not included in the standard homeowners insurance policy. For example, if a standard policy does not cover floods or earthquakes, a special coverage endorsement can be added to provide protection against these risks. Option A is incorrect because special coverage endorsements do not primarily focus on increasing liability coverage outside the residence. Option C is incorrect because special coverage endorsements typically do not involve increasing deductibles. Instead, they add coverage. Option D is incorrect as special coverage endorsements generally focus on extending coverage to new risks rather than increasing the coverage for additional living expenses. Question 74. Which of the following best describes the subrogation process in an auto insurance claim in Kansas? A. The process of the insurer reimbursing the insured for the deductible amount. B. The process by which the insurer seeks reimbursement from a third party responsible for the loss after paying the claim to the insured. C. The process of the insured transferring ownership of the damaged vehicle to the insurer. D. The process of the insurer providing additional coverage for damages not covered under the primary policy. Correct answer. B. The process by which the insurer seeks reimbursement from a third party responsible for the loss after paying the claim to the insured. Explanation: subrogation is the process through which an insurance company seeks reimbursement from a third party that is legally liable for the insured's loss after the insurer has paid the claim. This helps the insurer recover some or all of the money it has paid out to the insured and reduces overall costs. Option A is incorrect because subrogation does not involve reimbursing the deductible amount but focuses on recovering funds from the liable party. Option C is incorrect because subrogation does not involve transferring ownership of the vehicle but seeking recovery from the responsible party. Option D is incorrect as subrogation is not about providing additional coverage but recovering costs from a liable third party. Question 75. Lily, a Kansas resident, has a personal umbrella policy with a $1 million limit and a self-insured retention of $5,000. After a severe car accident, Lily faces a $500,000 liability claim. Her primary auto insurance covers up to $250,000 in liability. How much will Lily's personal umbrella policy pay after considering the self-insured retention? A. $245,000. B. $495,000. C. $500,000. D. $255,000. Correct answer. B. $495,000. Explanation: Lily's personal umbrella policy will cover the liability amount that exceeds her primary auto insurance limit after the self-insured retention is met. The total liability claim is $500,000. The primary auto insurance covers up to $250,000. The umbrella policy will cover the remaining amount after the primary insurance and the self-insured retention, $500,000. $250,000. 5,000 equals $245,000. The amount covered by the umbrella policy is $245,000, but since the policy has a $1 million limit, it will cover the entire remaining amount after the self-insured retention has been met up to the limit. Option A is incorrect because it only covers part of the excess amount without considering the total coverage provided by the umbrella policy. Option C is incorrect as the umbrella policy does not cover the full $500,000 claim amount but rather the amount above the primary insurance limit and after the SIR is met. Option D is incorrect as it does not account for the correct amount after deductibles and limits. Question 76. In Kansas, which of the following is a key difference between a dwelling fire policy D1 and a homeowner's policy HO3 when it comes to coverage for personal property? A. A dwelling fire policy D1 covers personal property on an open perils basis, while a homeowner's policy HO3 covers personal property on a named perils basis. B. A dwelling fire policy (DP1) typically does not cover personal property at all, while a homeowner's policy (HO3) provides comprehensive coverage for personal property. C. A dwelling fire policy (DP1) provides replacement cost coverage for personal property, while a homeowner's policy (HO3) provides actual cash value coverage. D. A dwelling fire policy (DP1) and a homeowner's policy (HO3) both provide identical coverage for personal property on an open perils basis. Correct answer: B. A dwelling fire policy (DP1) typically does not cover personal property at all, while a homeowner's policy (HO3) provides comprehensive coverage for personal property. Explanation: the DP1 basic form dwelling fire policy generally provides coverage only for the dwelling itself and does not include coverage for personal property. In contrast, the HO3 special form homeowners policy includes broad coverage for personal property on a named perils basis, which means it covers personal property against risks listed in the policy. Option A is incorrect because the DP1 does not cover personal property, while the HO3 does cover personal property on a named perils basis. Option C is incorrect because the DP1 does not cover personal property and the HO3 typically covers personal property on a replacement cost basis. Option D is incorrect because the policies differ in their approach to covering personal property, with the DP1 not providing coverage. Question 77. Which of the following is typically excluded under a personal watercraft insurance policy in Kansas? A. Liability coverage for bodily injury and property damage caused by the watercraft. B. Physical damage to the watercraft caused by a collision with another vessel. C. Coverage for injuries sustained while the watercraft is being used for commercial purposes. D. Coverage for theft of the watercraft while it is docked at a marina. Correct answer: C. Coverage for injuries sustained while the watercraft is being used for commercial purposes. Explanation: personal watercraft insurance policies generally exclude coverage for injuries or damages resulting from the use of the watercraft for commercial purposes, such as renting out the watercraft or using it for business operations. This is because commercial use increases the risk and requires specialized coverage. Option A is incorrect, as liability coverage for bodily injury and property damage is typically included in a personal watercraft policy. Option B is incorrect because physical damage caused by a collision is generally covered. Option D is incorrect, as theft of the watercraft, even while docked at a marina, is usually covered under a personal watercraft policy. Question 78. Tom, a Kansas homeowner, has a homeowner's insurance policy with $100,000 in dwelling coverage, $10,000 for other structures, and $20,000 in personal property coverage. After fire damages his home, Tom incurs $80,000 in dwelling repairs, $8,000 in repairs to a detached garage, and $15,000 in personal property losses. Additionally, Tom incurs $7,000 in loss of use expenses while his home is being repaired. How much will Tom's policy pay in total, assuming no special endorsements or limits apply? A. $80,000 for dwelling damage, $8,000 for other structures, $15,000 for personal property, and $7,000 for loss of use, totaling $110,000. B. $80,000 for dwelling damage, $8,000 for other structures, $15,000 for personal property, and $10,000 for loss of use, totaling $113,000. C. $80,000 for dwelling damage, $8,000 for other structures, $15,000 for personal property, and $7,000 for loss of use, totaling $110,000. D. $100,000 for dwelling damage, $10,000 for other structures, $20,000 for personal property, and $7,000 for loss of use, totaling $137,000. Correct answer: C. $80,000 for dwelling damage, $8,000 for other structures, $15,000 for personal property, and $7,000 for loss of use, totaling $110,000. Explanation: Tom's policy will cover up to the limit specified for each type of coverage. $80,000 for dwelling damage within the $100,000 limit, $8,000 for other structures within the $10,000 limit, $15,000 for personal property within the $20,000 limit, $7,000 for loss of use expenses assuming it is covered and falls within the policy limits. The total payout is the sum of all covered amounts, $80,000 plus $8,000 plus $15,000 plus $7,000 equals $110,000. Option A is incorrect because it correctly totals the covered amounts but fails to consider potential limits. Option B is incorrect because it assumes an incorrect limit for loss of use. Option D is incorrect as the policy limits for dwelling and other structures are not exceeded and the total coverage does not align with the scenario limits. Question 79. In Kansas, which of the following is a characteristic of a personal liability umbrella policy? A. It provides primary coverage for damages resulting from auto accidents. B. It extends liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies, such as homeowners and auto insurance. C. It covers personal property losses due to theft or vandalism. D. It includes coverage for legal defense costs regardless of whether the claim is covered by the underlying policy. Correct answer. B. It extends liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies, such as homeowners and auto insurance. Explanation. A personal liability umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies, such as homeowners and auto insurance. This means it kicks in after the primary insurance coverage limits have been exhausted, providing extra protection against large claims or lawsuits. Option A is incorrect because the PLUP does not provide primary coverage for auto accidents, but rather extends liability coverage beyond existing limits. Option C is incorrect as PLUPs are focused on liability coverage, not personal property losses. Option D is partially correct but misleading because while a PLUP covers legal defense costs, it usually only does so for claims that are covered by the underlying policies. Question 80. What is the primary purpose of the loss of use coverage in a homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas? A. To cover the cost of repairs to the home due to damage. B. To compensate for additional living expenses incurred while the insured's home is being repaired or is uninhabitable. C. To provide coverage for personal property that is damaged or stolen. D. To pay for the legal costs associated with disputes over the home insurance claim. Correct answer. B. To compensate for additional living expenses incurred while the insured's home is being repaired or is uninhabitable. Explanation. Loss of use of coverage under a homeowner's insurance policy compensates the insured for additional living expenses incurred while their home is uninhabitable due to a covered loss. This can include costs such as temporary rental accommodations, meals, and other expenses necessary while the home is being repaired. Option A is incorrect as loss of use does not cover repair costs, so that is covered under dwelling coverage. Option C is incorrect because it refers to personal property coverage, not loss of use. Option D is incorrect as legal costs associated with disputes are not covered under loss of use but may be covered under other specific endorsements or policies. Question 81. Sarah, a Kansas homeowner, has a dwelling policy DP3 with $200,000 coverage for the dwelling, $20,000 coverage for other structures, and $10,000 coverage for personal property. After fire, her dwelling sustains $180,000 in damage. Her detached garage incurs $18,000 in damage, and she loses $12,000 worth of personal property. Additionally, Sarah incurs $6,000 in loss of use expenses. How much will Sarah's policy pay in total considering the standard coverage limits and any potential policy exclusions? A. $180,000 for dwelling damage, $18,000 for other structures, $10,000 for personal property, and $6,000 for loss of use, totaling $214,000. B. $180,000 for dwelling damage, $18,000 for other structures, $10,000 for personal property, and $10,000 for loss of use, totaling $218,000. C. $180,000 for dwelling damage, $20,000 for other structures, $10,000 for personal property, and $6,000 for loss of use, totaling $216,000. D. $200,000 for dwelling damage, $20,000 for other structures, $10,000 for personal property, and $6,000 for loss of use, totaling $236,000. Correct answer A. $180,000 for dwelling damage, $18,000 for other structures, $10,000 for personal property, and $6,000 for loss of use, totaling $214,000. Explanation. The DP3 Special Form Dwelling Policy provides coverage up to the limits specified. Dwelling coverage, $180,000 within the $200,000 limit. Other structures coverage, $18,000 within the $20,000 limit. Personal property coverage, $10,000 within the $10,000 limit. Loss of use coverage, $6,000 assuming it is within the policy limit. Thus the total payout is $180,000 plus $18,000 plus $10,000 plus $6,000 is equals $214,000. Option B is incorrect as it assumes an excess coverage limit for loss of use. Option C is incorrect because the limit for other structures is $20,000, not $18,000. Option D is incorrect as the dwelling coverage limit of $200,000 is not exceeded. Question 82. In Kansas, how does underinsured motorist coverage differ from uninsured motorist coverage? ECA personal auto policy PAP. A. Underinsured motorist coverage pays for damages when the at-fault driver has no insurance, while uninsured motorist coverage pays when the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance. B. Underinsured motorist coverage pays for damages when the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance, while uninsured motorist coverage pays when the at-fault driver has no insurance at all. C. Underinsured motorist coverage provides coverage for medical expenses, while uninsured motorist coverage covers only property damage. D. Underinsured motorist coverage covers property damage, while uninsured motorist coverage covers bodily injury. Correct answer. B. Underinsured motorist coverage pays for damages when the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance, while uninsured motorist coverage pays when the at-fault driver has no insurance at all. Explanation. Underinsured motorist coverage (UM) comes into play when the at-fault driver has insurance, but the coverage limits are insufficient to cover the full extent of the damages. Conversely, uninsured motorist coverage applies when the at-fault driver has no insurance coverage at all. Both types of coverage are designed to protect insured drivers from financial loss due to the fault of another driver. Option A is incorrect as it reverses the roles of UIM and UM coverages. Option C is incorrect because both types of coverage address both medical expenses and property damage depending on the policy. Option D is incorrect as it incorrectly distinguishes the types of coverage for bodily injury and property damage. Question 83. Which of the following situations is typically covered under a scheduled personal property endorsement in a homeowner's insurance policy in Kansas? A. Damage to personal property caused by a power outage. B. Loss of valuable items, such as jewelry or fine art, due to accidental damage. C. Theft of personal property from a car parked in a public lot. D. Loss of personal property due to a flood. Correct answer. B. Loss of valuable items, such as jewelry or fine art, due to accidental damage. Explanation. A scheduled personal property endorsement provides enhanced coverage for high-value items such as jewelry, fine art, and collectibles. This endorsement typically covers risks such as accidental damage or loss beyond what is included in the standard policy, and it usually offers broader protection and higher limits for these items. Option A is incorrect because scheduled personal property endorsements do not cover damages caused by power outages. Option C is incorrect because theft from a vehicle may not be covered under the scheduled personal property endorsement, but rather under the standard personal property coverage. Option D is incorrect as flood damage is generally covered under a separate flood insurance policy. Question 84. Michael, a Kansas resident, has a dwelling policy DPA 2 with $150,000 coverage for the dwelling, $15,000 for other structures, and $20,000 for personal property. A severe windstorm causes $120,000 in damage to his dwelling, $12,000 in damage to a detached shed, and $18,000 in personal property losses. Additionally, Michael incurs $4,000 in loss of use expenses. How much will Michael's policy pay in total, assuming no special endorsements or limits apply? A. $120,000 for dwelling damage, $12,000 for other structures, $18,000 for personal property, and $4,000 for loss of use, totaling $154,000. B. $120,000 for dwelling damage, $15,000 for other structures, $18,000 for personal property, and $4,000 for loss of use, totaling $157,000. C. $150,000 for dwelling damage, $15,000 for other structures, $18,000 for personal property, and $4,000 for loss of use, totaling $187,000. D. $150,000 for dwelling damage, $15,000 for other structures, $20,000 for personal property, and $4,000 for loss of use, totaling $189,000. Correct answer. B. $120,000 for dwelling damage, $15,000 for other structures, $18,000 for personal property, and $4,000 for loss of use, totaling $157,000. Explanation: the DEPA 2 broad form dwelling policy covers up to the specified limits. Dwelling coverage $120,000 within the $150,000 limit. Other structures coverage $12,000 within the $15,000 limit. Personal property coverage $18,000 within the $20,000 limit. Loss of use $4,000 assuming it is within the policy limit. The total payout is $120,000 dwelling plus $12,000 other structures plus $18,000 personal property plus $4,000 loss of use equals $154,000. However, due to coverage limits for other structures, the correct payout should include the maximum allowed coverage for those structures, which is $15,000. Option A is incorrect due to incorrect treatment of the coverage limits for other structures. Options C and D are incorrect because they do not properly apply the coverage limits to the dwelling and personal property. Question 85. In Kansas, which of the following best describes the coverage provided by a scheduled personal property endorsement under a homeowner's insurance policy? A. It covers personal property for risks not included in the standard policy, such as earthquake or flood damage. B. It provides an increased limit of coverage for specific high-value items like jewelry or fine art and covers them against broader risks. C. It replaces personal property coverage with a high deductible for valuable items. D. It extends liability coverage for injuries caused by personal property, such as a trampoline or swimming pool. Correct answer: B. It provides an increased limit of coverage for specific high-value items like jewelry or fine art and covers them against broader risks. Explanation: a scheduled personal property endorsement allows homeowners to increase the coverage limit for high-value items such as jewelry, fine art, or collectibles and often provides broader coverage for these items. This endorsement typically covers a wider range of perils, including accidental damage, that might not be covered under the standard policy. Option A is incorrect as scheduled personal property endorsements do not cover perils like earthquakes or floods, which require separate endorsements or policies. Option C is incorrect because it does not involve increasing deductibles, but rather enhances coverage limits. Option D is incorrect as scheduled personal property endorsements do not extend liability coverage, but rather focus on increasing coverage limits for specific items. Question 86. In Kansas, what is the primary purpose of the self-insured retention? Sir, in a personal umbrella policy, A. It covers the deductible amount on the insured's primary insurance policies. B. It represents the amount the insured must pay before the umbrella policy starts to provide coverage. C. It increases the coverage limits for liability claims under the primary insurance policies. D. It provides coverage for damages that exceed the limit of the primary insurance policy but within the umbrella policy's limit. Correct answer: B. It represents the amount the insured must pay before the umbrella policy starts to provide coverage. Explanation: the self-insured retention, sir, is the amount that the insured must pay out of pocket before the personal umbrella policy begins to cover the remaining liability. It is essentially a deductible for the umbrella policy and is different from the primary policy's deductible. Option A is incorrect because the SIR is not used to cover deductibles on primary policies, but is a separate amount that must be paid before umbrella coverage kicks in. Option C is incorrect as the SIR does not increase coverage limits, but represents an amount the insured pays before the umbrella policy provides coverage. Option D is incorrect because while the umbrella policy does provide additional coverage beyond primary limits, the SIR is a cost to the insured before this coverage applies. Question 87. Anna, a Kansas resident, has a personal auto policy PAP with the following coverage limits: liability coverage of $300,000 per accident, medical payments coverage of $10,000 per person, and uninsured motorist coverage of $250,000 per accident. After a multi vehicle accident where Anna is at fault, the total damages amount to $500,000. Anna's liability coverage pays out the full $300,000 limit. Additionally, $15,000 in medical expenses are incurred by her passengers. The at-fault driver has no insurance. How much will Anna's uninsured motorist coverage pay, if applicable? A. $250,000. B. $200,000. C. $100,000. D. $50,000. Correct answer: B. $200,000. Explanation: Anna's uninsured motorist coverage will cover the damages caused by the uninsured at-fault driver up to the policy limit. Here's how it works. Total damages $500,000. Liability coverage pays $300,000. Remaining amount $500,000. 300,000 Aussies equals $100,000. Since the at-fault driver is uninsured and Anna's uninsured motorist coverage limit is $250,000, it will cover the remaining $200,000 in damages. The medical payments coverage is typically part of the total coverage for medical expenses and does not affect the uninsured motorist coverage. Option A is incorrect because the full $250,000 limit is not used since only $200,000 is required to cover the remaining damages. Options C and D are incorrect because they do not accurately reflect the amount of remaining damages after considering the liability coverage. Question 88. In Kansas, which of the following is true about the personal injury protection (PIP) coverage in a personal auto policy (PAP)? PIP coverage is mandatory in Kansas and covers medical expenses, lost wages, and other expenses resulting from a covered auto accident, regardless of fault. B. PIP coverage is optional in Kansas and only covers medical expenses related to auto accidents, regardless of fault. C. PIP coverage is required in Kansas but only provides coverage for property damage caused by the insured vehicle. D. PIP coverage provides liability coverage for damages caused by the insured vehicle to other parties involved in an accident. Correct answer: A. PIP coverage is mandatory in Kansas and covers medical expenses, lost wages, and other expenses resulting from a covered auto accident, regardless of fault. Explanation: in Kansas, personal injury protection (PIP) coverage is mandatory and is a no-fault insurance provision. It covers medical expenses, lost wages, and other related expenses for the insured and their passengers, regardless of who is at fault in the accident. This coverage is designed to ensure that individuals receive prompt medical care and financial assistance for lost income after an auto accident. Option B is incorrect because PIP is mandatory, not optional, and it covers more than just medical expenses. Option C is incorrect as PIP coverage does not cover property damage. It focuses on personal injuries and associated costs. Option D is incorrect because PIP does not provide liability coverage. It is focused on the insured's own expenses. Question 89. Which of the following best describes the perils insured against ECA homeowners insurance policy HO3 in Kansas? A. The HO3 policy provides coverage on an open perils basis for the dwelling and a named perils basis for personal property. B. The HO3 policy provides coverage on a named perils basis for both the dwelling and personal property. C. The HO3 policy provides coverage on an open perils basis for personal property and a named perils basis for the dwelling. D. The HO3 policy provides coverage on a named perils basis for both the dwelling and other structures. Correct answer: A. The HO3 policy provides coverage on an open perils basis for the dwelling and a named perils basis for personal property. Explanation: the HO3 special form homeowners insurance policy provides coverage on an open perils basis for the dwelling, meaning it covers all risks except those specifically excluded in the policy. For personal property, the HO3 policy uses a named perils basis, meaning it covers only the perils specifically listed in the policy. Option B is incorrect because the HO3 provides open perils coverage for the dwelling. Option C is incorrect because it reverses the coverage types for dwelling and personal property. Option D is incorrect as the HO3 policy does not use a named perils basis for the dwelling. Question 90. Jessica, a Kansas resident, has a dwelling policy D1 with $120,000 in coverage for the dwelling, $10,000 for other structures, and $8,000 for personal property. Following a storm, her dwelling sustains $100,000 in damage, her detached garage incurs $9,000 in damage, and she suffers $7,000 in personal property losses. Additionally, Jessica incurs $3,000 in additional living expenses while her home is being repaired. How much will Jessica's policy pay in total considering the standard coverage limits and any applicable deductibles? A. $100,000 for dwelling damage, $9,000 for other structures, $7,000 for personal property, and $3,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $119,000. B. $100,000 for dwelling damage, $10,000 for other structures, $7,000 for personal property, and $3,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $120,000. C. $120,000 for dwelling damage, $10,000 for other structures, $8,000 for personal property, and $3,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $141,000. D. $100,000 for dwelling damage, $10,000 for other structures, $8,000 for personal property, and $3,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $121,000. Correct answer: A. $100,000 for dwelling damage, $9,000 for other structures, $7,000 for personal property, and $3,000 for additional living expenses, totaling $119,000. Explanation: The D.1 Basic Form dwelling policy provides coverage up to the specified limits. Dwelling coverage: $100,000 within the $120,000 limit. Other structures coverage: $9,000 within the $10,000 limit. Personal property coverage: $7,000 within the $8,000 limit. Additional living expenses coverage: $3,000 assuming it is within the policy limits. The total payout is $100,000 dwelling plus $9,000 other structures plus $7,000 personal property plus $3,000 additional living expense equals $119,000. Option B is incorrect because it incorrectly assumes the policy will cover the full limit for all categories, including a detached garage exceeding the $10,000 limit. Option C is incorrect due to overestimating coverage limits. Option D is incorrect because it does not correctly apply the coverage limits for dwelling and other structures.